So what ICS is a program that ultimately covers up to $100 million in deposits for any one depositor. So what's meant by that is that if you had a relationship with us where you had, let's say, 75 million in deposits, we would work with partner banks. We partner with about 3,000 different US-based banks that are also FDIC insured, where we space out those deposits to ensure that no one institution holds more than 250,000 of your deposit. So in the world of EB5, what happens is EB5 investors send their money into what's called an escrow account. So this escrow account is an account whereby the signatories are what's called an escrow agent. So we as a bank not only hold the escrow account, but we act as the escrow agent where we're governing and essentially controlling the funds so that we're protecting the investor funds to ensure they're not dispersed into the project too early. Well, escrow really helps to protect the investor. So if you're an investor and you're investing in a project where there's no escrow, you don't have all these safeguards, all these protective measures in there to ensure that your funds are following the appropriate steps along the way.
So from the investor's perspective, this is really a win-win. There's no additional cost, and the funds are backed by the U.S. government up to the entire amount with the ICS program in place. So it really is a best practice for projects to have escrow today. We rarely see projects that don't have escrow. There's really no negative for investors to have it. So if you don't see a project with escrow, that usually means there's something not good, probably, that could happen because you don't have these protections in place.
So from our perspective, we really do due diligence on the projects themselves. So we're not just banking every EB5 project that's out there. We dig into the projects themselves. We do our own due diligence to ensure that all the associated parties are above board, I guess, for lack of a better term. So we're almost that first line of defense to ensure that the project does make sense and is a viable EB5 project. And so if you look at it from an EB5 perspective, if I'm an EB5 investor sending $800,000 into an escrow account, well, okay, at most only 250,000 of that is insured. And that's assuming I'm the only investor or the first investor. So if you have a project where, let's say you have 5 EB5 investors, there's $4 million sitting in escrow, traditionally only 250,000 of that would be insured. So what ICS does, it's a program that allows for FDIC coverage up to $100 million. And so long as it's an FDIC insured institution, there really are no concerns from a depositor perspective. Again, the only concern is above and beyond $250,000, but that's where ICS steps in to ensure that up to $100 million is insured. From an investor perspective, they want to ensure that their investment, from the time it leaves their account in their home country to the time it actually gets into the project, they want to be sure their money's safe, right? So when you're investing into a project where there's escrow, you have this third party who's overseeing every dollar in and out of that escrow account. So as the escrow agent and the escrow bank, what we're doing is we're keeping an eye on the funds. We're making sure that the investor money is being protected, and we're being sure that the funds are not being released from escrow until they are intended to be released per the agreement, right? And then once funds go out of escrow into the account of the partnership, you have these, the money can still be sitting there for a few weeks, if not a few months. So it's our job as the fiduciary to ensure that these funds are protected. So from the escrow perspective, we're keeping an eye on the funds, but above and beyond that, when you have this additional FDIC coverage, when you have this additional insurance on the funds, as an investor, it gives you that sense of security, that sense of safety that my funds are safe. My funds are being watched not only by a third party who's keeping an eye on the accounts themselves, but by this government-created entity where they're ensuring that if something were to happen with the bank, worst case scenario, their funds are protected and the funds will not be lost. So having not only an escrow partner, but also having this additional FDIC coverage, which again, as you said, is free of charge, it just provides the sense of security, the sense of safety to the investor, knowing that once my funds leave my control as the investor and are going into the project, those funds are protected along the way.